Hello guys, welcome to my channel Lucid Fanfic, and if you're new here, don't forget to hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications so you never miss out on our latest videos. So be sure to stick around until the end, and let's get started. Izuku Midoriya is currently age 4, born with amber eyes that his mother and immediate family is confused by, the diamond freckle pattern of his father, and his hair is black to his parents' bafflement, as no one in their recent ancestors has had black hair. He was recently announced quirkless. Izuku's POV. Sorry, kid, but you should give up on that dream, the doctor said. What do you mean, doctor? My mom, Inko Midoriya, asked. Well, you see, Miss Midoriya, your son here has 2 joints in his pinky toe here. He says, pointing to an X-ray of Izuku's foot, this double joint is synonymous with telling if a person will develop a quirk. People born with a quirk are all lacking this second joint. Well, I see, my mom said. I just sat there dumbstruck, not reacting at all, till we got home in an effort to make me feel better. My mom played my favorite hero video. Mom, can I still be a hero like All Might? I asked. I'm sorry, Izuku, my mom said, hugging me while crying. That was not what I needed to hear. The next day at school, we were told of an upcoming field trip to a forest, and I told everyone that I was quirkless, to much belittlement from Kakin and his friends, as well as everyone in my class. At recess, I see Kakin and his friends bullying a kid. Why are you trying to act tough? Your quirk is nothing compared to mine, Kakin said, as he pushed the boy to the ground, threatening him with his explosions, and I run in to guard him. Why are you being a bully, Kakin? I thought you wanted to be a hero, I screamed at him. What are you doing? You're trying to protect him, even though you're lower than him, you Deku. He then turned to bullying me. I went home every day for the next week with a new scar. Today is the day of the field trip. We're going to forest to observe nature and have a picnic. We reach an orchard and start setting up the picnic, and currently Kakin is chasing me through the trees. I see something flutter beyond this curtain of vines, and I duck in to hide from Kakin. Who are you, little one? I hear, and turn around to see a white kite-like being with blue markings all over its front. Wait, can you see me? I screamed, then it touched me, and I felt calm. There is no need to panic. I'm a spirit. One of the last spirits, in fact, quirks, came from us merging with mankind. I am Rava, the light spirit. And who are you, young one? She asked, although I don't know if it is actually a girl, but the voice sounded feminine. My name is Izuku Midoriya. She then did something weird. She touched me, and we felt a connection. I can't believe it. After 2,000 years of the cycle being broken, I found you again. I then saw a vision of others standing in a line to my side. Imagine Korra and another Earth avatar. What was that? I asked. Your past lives, it's been so long, old friend, she said. We can finally rejoin each other. What? I asked. Oh, the glow in their eyes is me. Together, we were the bridge between the spirit and human realm. We kept the world in balance. As the master of the 4 elements, the avatar, she said proudly, and now we could do that once again. So they are mine and yours past lives? I asked. You can put it that way, she responded. So can I rejoin with you? Fine, but how am I going to learn to bend the elements? No one nowadays can do it, I asked. We will have turned to your past lives for that, and you can talk to me in your mind anytime, she said, as we rejoined, restarting the cycle. I made my way back to the class and remained silent till I got home and talked with Rava. Izuku's POV. Rava, you said I was going to have to learn from my past lives? How can I do that? I asked. You must meditate and reach out to a past life, Rava responded. Okay, which element do I need to learn first? Maybe that will help me find one. I asked, sitting down in my room, ready to begin. Well, the cycle should be on fire now, hope that helped, Rava said. Okay, I need to learn fire, I replied. I go into a meditative state. I laid my left hand into my right hand and made a loop with my thumbs. I need a fire-bending master. I need a fire-bending master. I need a fire-bending master. Hello, young one. Would you care for some tea? An old man with a white beard asked me. Who are you, sir? I asked. I am an old friend of one of your past lives, Avatar Aang. My name is Iroh the man, now known as Iroh, replied. Now would you like some tea, my friend? Sure, what do you mean, friend? You are Aang's friend, not mine. I asked, accepting the cup of tea. Ha 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 ha. Young one, it is you regardless, and Aang always said friendships can transcend lifetimes, he told me. Itchim, okay. Then, well, if you knew him, then can you help me in learning fire bending, or at least give me advice? I asked, taking a sip of tea. Why, certainly I can give you advice. Fire bending comes from the breath, young one. He said the stronger the breath, the better. So practice breathing in deeply to build lung strength. I cannot show you bending, but I can teach you what I know. Okay, why can't you show me Iroh? I asked him. Well, you see, we are currently in the spirit world where bending is not possible. Maybe one day, if I visit the human world again, I could show you, he said. But I can teach you the basics and my wisdom of the 4 elements. Okay, then I need to put what I learn here into practice out there, thanks. Oh, Iroh, do you know how to find my past lives? I asked. I'm supposed to learn fire bending first. For a fire bending avatar, there is no better than Avatar Roku, and you should be able to call him with his name, I should think. At least that's how Aang did it, haha, he said. Okay, then, thank you. I should probably get back and get some sleep. See you tomorrow, Iroh, I said, and went back and went to bed. The next day was the weekend, so I went to the beach for a bit of privacy and meditated, calling out mentally to Roku and reaching out to Iroh, letting him know I'm back and I see a new man. Good to see Rava found us again. Hello, Izuku. I understand that in your time the art of bending the elements has long since been lost. So it's a good thing that we can teach you. I would like to suggest you learn the martial arts of the world, as they are akin to the movements of a bender. Shall we begin? The man I was sure was Roku asked. Can we wait a bit? Iroh said he would also help with my technique. I asked. Sure, we can practice something right here. I believe Northern Shaolin holds the origins of fire bending technique, he said. Although a true master can learn from all the elements to elevate your own element, Iroh said, approaching. I wasn't the head of the White Lotus in my time for nothing. Iroh. I ran and hugged him. It worked, you heard me call out to you. Of course I did. Now let's practice, shall we? He said, pulling a scroll from his sleeve now. Practice these moves on this scroll, and me and Roku will correct you when needed. I practiced the movements on the scroll for hours, them correcting me when it was around noon. I went home and ate lunch, then in the backyard practiced the moves without actually bending for another 2 hours. Then practiced breathing techniques till dinner. I repeated that for about half a year, going to the beach meditating, practicing in the spirit world, being corrected from time to time, usually when they introduced a new scroll, going home, eating lunch, practicing in the yard, practice breathing, eat dinner, sleep, until. Okay, you are ready to work with fire, Roku said. I agree with Roku, said Iroh. Out on the beach, focus your chi into you movements and don't lose concentration. We will be watching and guiding from here, okay? Okay, let's do this, I said, returning to the beach. I decided to go through the first scroll in order focusing chi into my palms as they ignited and continuing through them. In the background, I could vaguely tell a few people were watching me, but I was giving everything over to my practice, ignoring them. And I finished with a diffusing stance, my hands resting at my core. Well done, Izuku. Well done, you truly are a natural. Tomorrow we will begin the advanced set. I hear Iroh and Roku said to me from the spirit world. Yes, sensei, I can't wait for learning the next set and information, I said. Izuku's POV. Okay, let's do this. I'm ready to learn more, Iroh. Roku, I said. Okay, I'm upset, Iroh. He draws a symbol in the dirt resembling fire. Fire is the element of power. Back in the day, the people of the Fire Nation had the desire and the will, as well as the energy and the drive to achieve what they wanted. He then drew a weird symbol, Earth, the element of substance. Back in the day, the people of the Earth Nation were diverse and strong. They were persistent and enduring. He then drew a symbol resembling the breeze. Air is the element of freedom. The air nomads of old detached themselves from worldly concerns and found peace and freedom. They also had a great sense of humor. Then he draws a wave surrounded by the moon. Water is the element of change. The people of the water tribes were capable of adapting to many things. They had a strong sense of community and love that held them together through everything. He draws 2 lines dividing the symbols. It is important to draw wisdom from many different places. If you take it from one place, it becomes rigid and stale. He draws a circle surrounding the 4 symbols. Understanding others, the other elements, and the other nations helped us become whole. He finished. This sounds like it pertains only to the avatar, yet you seem to imply that anyone can use this to become stronger, I wondered aloud. That's because, Izuku, anyone can learn from others to better themselves. The knowledge of others can further your own, after all, Roku said. For instance, Iroh here used the element of fire in tandem with the teachings he got from the water tribes to create lightning redirection. By applying what he learned from others, he made himself stronger. Oh, I see. So I will grow stronger in the elements I master by learning the other elements, and by learning from others, I replied. Yes. Now we begin the advanced set, they both said, and showed me this. Wow, this looks like Tai Chi, but with lightning? I asked. Yeah, out of the two of us, this is the only truly advanced technique we can teach you for firebending, and it will help when you get a waterbending, Roku said. Now combine this with the training you already do in the mortal realm, and return to us in 6 months. Okay, sensei, I said, and with that I upped my training 3x and added Tai Chi to my cool-down and breathing techniques. My training was brutal, and I've grown to use the spirit world for studying, or maybe some realm in between this one and the spirit world. And so I went for 6 months training, breathing, Tai Chi, go to bed physically, and study in this new realm. My grades never dropped. In fact, they increased since I started studying all night in this new realm. But my teachers were concerned when instead of playing, I was training in the movement from the scrolls, but I explained it was in self-defense. Finally, I went back to Roku and Iroh and told them, I think I found a way to show them for sure that I've improved, and told the of this half-dimension sort of thing, and they followed me. From what I can tell, we don't affect the world majorly here, but you can study here by pulling in your books, and I accidentally used firebending in here, and it wasn't able to affect my room. I said, fantastic, we can watch you train with the elements and play, and maybe we can show you ourselves. Okay, show us your lightning, they said together. Right, I said, and I began using Tai Chi movements, but the felt strain like the Chi was wild, so I guided it and released it. They were surprised and said, you should be able to master firebending in 1 more year. And so we continued over the course of a year. I grew and began to surpass both Roku and Iroh. Halfway through, Iroh began to show me what he learned from the Sun Warriors and the remaining dragons. So I practiced that for the remaining half of the year. Congratulations, Izuku. You have mastered your first element. The next in the cycle is airbending. I would contact Avatar Aang the Avatar after Roku, Iroh said. Yes, congratulations. And yes, Aang is a good pick, Roku agreed. Thank you, I said, for helping. I then hugged them both. I'm still a kid, only 7, and they're like fathers to me, my real one, leaving shortly after I was born. For Izuku, the 2 years he was practicing and training were a challenge, but Kugu still bullied him because he thought he was quirkless, which technically he still is, but he has power now. Izuku's POV. The training and practicing certain moves on the playground didn't help much for about the first year, since I refused to use my chi while at school so I don't actually hurt someone. Then one day a teacher came over. What are you doing, Izuku? You aren't in pain, are you? He asked me. Oh, this is just me practicing some self-defense lessons my mom enrolled me, and I half lied. I mean, there were sort of self-defense lessons, but that wasn't their true purpose. Oh, well, good that you're practicing away from others so you don't hurt them, he replied, walking off, clearly satisfied I wasn't in need of medical attention. With him gone, I went back to practicing till our break time was over, and I made my way home. Today was the same as any other. I went home and practiced. Tomorrow was the weekend and one of my check-in days with Roku and Iroh. I was excited to see them again. They were like fathers to me, teaching me new things and believing in me, unlike everyone at school. Sweetie, dinner is ready. Go wash up, Mom called out from the sliding door to our backyard. I went inside and washed up, and we ate dinner, which was my favorite katsudon. After dinner, I showered and went to bed. When I woke up and went to the beach near my home and meditated and entered the spirit world. Izuku, the weekend already? Tea? Iroh politely asked. Yes, please. Where's Roku? I said, taking a sip of the tea. Oh, he should be here soon, but go ahead and show me what you practiced, he said, and I obliged. Well done, Izuku. I think you might be able to practice with fire soon, but we will wait for Roku to say so. Okay, Iroh, I sat and finished my tea before practicing more. Finally, Roku arrived. He sat and began drinking some tea offered by Iroh. Izuku, show me what you've learned, Roku said, and I obliged. Okay, I give my permission to use fire in your practice in the mortal world. Really, yeah, let's do this, I said happily. Okay, you're on the beach, right, a perfect place, not much to burn if you lose control of the flame, Roku said. Okay, when you go back, just focus on creating a ball of fire in your hands, and then do what you've practiced, Iroh said. Right, I said. I hugged them, and was preparing to leave. "We will be watching you from here, and when you return, we will let you know if you did anything wrong," Roku informed me, with Iroh nodding in agreement. "Okay," I said, and made my way back to the mortal realm. I stood up and focused, not restraining my bending, and made a ball of fire in my palm, surprised it was blue. Iroh told me a select few firebenders in the past had blue fire. The first one in nearly 3 centuries was Iroh as Nisazula. I separated the fire into 2-1 on each palm and started to move through the lessons on the scrolls, creating the arch of fire between his palms and twirling it around himself, and jumping into the air and finishing with a flame strike to the sand. This drew the attention of passerby, enticing them into watching as I went through the other techniques crowds, cheering me on in the background, all of them probably thinking I'm a performer or something using my quirk, which I'm not, just practicing an old dead technique. By the time I was done, I had made a sort of glass platform. It was noon, and I was quite sweaty, so I went back to meditating. "Well done, Izuku, well done," Roku said. "You have blue fire, such a rarity. The only one I knew of was my niece. You'll be a great firebender, Izuku, even for the Avatar," Iroh said with pride. "Thank you so much for being there for me, you two," I said, hugging the two of them. I did the same thing the next day, and then it was back to school, and this week Bakugo was mad. Apparently, on the last day of the weekend, someone in the crowd was recording me practice and posted it online. It was an overnight hit, and Bakugo had evidently seen it. "Since when do you have a quirk, Deku? Show me," Bakugo yelled. "No, it can be dangerous when I'm not concentrated on what I'm doing, Kakin. I only started using it fully recently," I lied, not wanting to do it. "Listen here when I tell you show me. I mean show me," Bakugo said. "No, Kakin, it's dangerous," I yelled at him, which pissed him off. He went for a punch, and instinctively I grabbed it and redirected his attack to the nearby wall. "Those lessons do work well on their own," I muttered. Unfortunately, Bakugo had gone for an explosion, and it accidentally started a fire, which was spreading fast. I ran inside and pulled the alarm, alerting everyone, then ran and grabbed Bakugo to get him to safety. When I was sure everyone was out and safe, I walked forward and began to bend the fire from the building, suffocating the embers that clung to the wood, and brought the fire under control, causing it to turn blue, and finally putting it out with minimal effort, just as pros and the fire department arrived. School was canceled for the rest of the day, so I went home and decided to meditate, going to meet with Iroh and Roku. "Well done in protecting your school," Iroh said. "And well done for not having to use the Avatar state. I would have had a," Roku said, proud of Izuku. "What's the Avatar state?" I asked. Apparently Rava never told him," Roku, Iroh said. "This brings back memories," Roku said. "Izuku, the Avatar state is a defense mechanism designed to empower you with the skills and knowledge of your past lives." "Cool, so it's really powerful," I said. "Yes, in the Avatar state you are at your most powerful, but you are also at your most vulnerable," Roku said. "Why is that?" I asked. "If you were to die in the Avatar state, the Avatar cycle would be broken, and there would never be another Avatar," Roku answered. "Okay, that makes sense," I said, after some contemplation. "It is confusing, though. Perhaps the Avatar state is broken slightly. I mean, Rava said the cycle was destroyed, so maybe I need to repair it somehow," I muttered. "Ha ha ha. For a 6-year-old, you are a surprisingly smart kid." "I suppose only time will tell," Iroh said. "Yeah, I've always been pretty smart, although I need to find a better balance between training and my academics," I said, giving them a hug goodbye. It was that thought in the evening that led me to finding the dimension, sort of halfway between the mortal realm and the spirit realm. My training continued, no longer impeding my grades thanks to this mirror dimension. I don't have any friends, and no one really knows it was me that stopped the fire, so they all think I'm still quirkless. I choose to keep it that way. If they knew what I was capable of, it would be bad. Kakin still bullies me, but I don't really get hurt anymore. That's another reason I don't have any friends. I still train during breaks and weekends, refining my skills a lot, till I began surpassing Roku and Iroh. That's what happened during my first 2 years of training. Izuku Midoriya, currently age 7, and has mastered fire bending and the subsequent lightning bending. I've been hesitant to learn more elements, but I finally decided to give a shot. Currently, I am on the beach, reaching out to Avatar Aang through the spirit world, and I found him talking to another person, a girl wearing similar cloths to himself. "A Jinora," he finally showed up, Aang said. Yes, it appears he is grandfather, so we are going to be the ones to teach him air bending correct, the girl Jinora said. Yes, I believe I recall Iroh saying you found a sort of plane between this world and the mortal world, Aang asked. Yes, hold on to me, you two, I said, and they obliged, and I brought them to the half dimension. From what I can tell, we can't affect the world around us, but we can affect the elements. You guys should also be able to bend at least Iroh and Roku could, I told them, and they tested it out, and to their surprise, they could indeed bend in this world. Interesting, this place is astounding, Aang said. Indeed, this is a unique place, Jinora said. Izuku, have you only done fire bending before? Yes, and according to Iroh and Roku, I am especially good at it, even for an avatar born of the Fire Nation, I replied. I even accomplished something that Roku said he would have needed the avatar state to accomplish. Interesting, okay, on to trying air, bending the movements are much more flowing, much more free, and remember you're not controlling the air, you're influencing it, guiding it, Aang said. Okay, let's try this, I said. I loosened my joints, stretching, and I proceeded to move in an elegant and gentle way, guiding the air the way I wanted. It flowed, creating a small ball of wind going around itself, and almost on instinct, I hopped up, placing the ball beneath me, and rode on top like a scooter. Wow, old habits die hard, even after 2 generations of avatars. Aang said. What do you mean, I asked. That technique was invented by me. It's how I earn my tattoos, Aang said, doing the same thing and creating an air scooter. Impressive, Izuku. It took me and my brothers several years to get that far in terms of airbending. Dad always wanted us practice the basics, Jinora said. Okay, practice airbending as much as you want. It was always relaxing for me. Okay, I will practice a bunch. It is quite loosening. And so I practiced air bending, most people just believing that I was practicing a new martial arts, and still my grades never slipped. They were quite stupid to not notice the increase in wind pressure. I even started to use air bending to speed up my movement capabilities. That's how it went for around half a year tonight. I didn't need to study because currently it was the summer. So I visited Aang and Jinora and asked for Aang to tell me a tale, which Aang obliged. That's when we were attacked by this bald man with an eye tattoo that could cause explosions with his mind. Sokka first called him Sparky Boom Man, Aang said, laughing so hard he fell on his side. What did that tattoo look like? I asked. Well, kind of like this, Aang said, drawing it on the ground. I've seen that before, Kaken, you monster, I said. What? But you should be the only one to know these techniques, Aang said. The corpse wiped out the benders, and this Kaken is your age. Where is the tattoo? He has 2, one on each arm, I said. That shouldn't be possible. The only 2 to be able to combustion bend had them on their forehead, Jinora said. So what does this mean, I asked. Perhaps the White Lotus or Fire Sages. Aang commented. Izuku, have you seen anything resembling this? Aang said, showing me a tile. Kaken has something exactly like that, I said. Maybe they sensed potential in him and forced him to hide his bending as a quirk, Jinora hypothesized. But Kugu's POV. I have to hide the truth from everyone. I am quirkless, but to everyone I have a quirk called explosion. Flashback. I am 4 years old, and shortly before going to the court, Dr. Man, his Navy suits showed up and told me that I was quirkless, but not powerless, and they tattooed my wrist with these weird eyes. They told me to tell everyone I had a quirk called explosion and came up with how it was a combination of my parents' quirks. They then gave me a tile with weird markings. In flashback. No one can know, I said before going to bed. Izuku is currently 7.5. I was in the half dimension practicing airbending with Aang and Jinora. Apparently, I was not fully into it like I normally am, because they both started to show concern for me. Izuku, is everything okay? You don't seem to be into it quite as much as you normally are, Aang said. Yeah, I noticed that too, Jinora added. I collapsed onto the ground, crying. My mom, I think she's getting sick with something that isn't going to go away easily, I sobbed, crying a bit harder. I don't know what she has or how long she has, but it is like a premonition or just a really bad feeling, I finished. They both rushed to comfort me, and I fell into an uneasy sleep in their arms, them comforting me. After I woke up, I went home, immediately feeling quite better. Mom was just finishing dinner, Katsudan. She looked more strained than normal, as if most movements hurt her. We quietly ate dinner. It was delicious. So where did you go today? My mother asked. I went to the forest for training, I replied, casually. What were you training for today? She asked. I was training with the wind, making loose movements, and learning more about the elements, I replied. Sounds fun. And like you're getting stronger, that's good, she said, finishing her dinner. Well, keep getting stronger for me, my little Aizu. I will, Mom. I have so much more I need to learn still, I said as she got up and washed her bowl. I finished up shortly after and washed my bowl as Mom had gone to her room. So I went to mine and went to the half dimension and began practicing my air bending before switching to practice fire bending. Don't want to get rusty. I continued till morning where I woke up and went downstairs. Strange Mom is usually up already and making breakfast. That's when it hit me, and I ran up to her room to check on her. When she wouldn't wake up, I called 119. Author. Yes, that is the emergency extension for Japan, gave them the address, and told them that she was breathing but not waking up. Fortunately, we didn't live too far from the hospital, and they arrived shortly and took Mom and me off to the hospital to examine her. Izuka Midoriya? A nurse said. Yes. I said, walking up to them, how is my mother? Presently your mom is in a coma, but apart from that, she seems to have brain cancer. I'm very sorry. We think that if she wakes up, she might have only a few more years, if that the nurse says. Thank you. Tell them to call this number once you have some news for me, I said, and walked back home. Once there, I began practicing a technique for me to officially master airbending. I started out by creating a ball of wind and compressing it as tight as possible. Then I flattened it air shuriken. I fired it at a tree. It slashed through with relative ease, taking a massive chunk out of it. After that, I went to meditate and calm down visiting Aang and Jinora. I told them what happened, how my mom is in a coma, and I showed them my technique. Well, I think it is time that you moved on to waterbending, my boy Aang said. Yeah, airbending is not that hard to master, so I agree with Granddad, Jinora agreed. Okay, it should be okay. I know lightning bending, which is derived from waterbending, I said. Okay with it, you will want Avatar Korra. She is the most recent water tribe incarnation, Aang said. She is also the one directly after me. Thank you, I said, hugging them. I will do my best with that. I left them and went to my room to go to sleep. Tomorrow is when I start, in theory, the hardest element for me to master. Izuku is currently 8 years old. I am taking a break from training for a bit. I still practice what I already know, but haven't moved on yet to waterbending. I've mostly been going to school and visiting Mom in the hospital, hoping she will wake up from her coma, and on the weekends I go out into the forest and race around practicing my airbending. Presently, I am heading to the hospital that my mom is in. Hi, I am here to see Rei Todoroki, said. And who shall I say is here, the attendant said. Her son Tuya Todoroki, the boy Tuya said. Okay, please wait over there for me to call you, the attendant replied. He walked over and sat near me. Hi, I'm here to visit my mom too. How are you doing, I asked him. Fine, he said reluctantly. And you? He looked to be around 15. The same. So what's your mom here for, I asked. My dumb dad sent here to the mental ward for burning my youngest brother, he said. Even though the only reason she did that was because of him, he muttered. Wow, my dad left us when I was 3. So what's your quirk, I asked. Mostly because I was curious, something told me he was like me. The same as my dad, Endeavor. Although my body can't handle the flames, it's what I got from my mom, he replied. I might be able to help you, I told him. Yeah, how you got I fire quirked, he asked. No, I am quirkless, but not powerless, I said. Izuku, Midoriya, you can head in now, the attendant called. Coming, I said. If you're quirkless, how can you help me, he asked. Trust me, I'll explain next time we meet. And I'm sure we will, I said. Well, see you next time, Izuka, he said. Same to you, see you, I said. After that, I made my way to my mom's room. Once there, I sat in the chair next to her bed and meditated to the half dimension and brought her spirit to this world with me. What's going on, Mom asked. We are in a sort of half dimension, Mom. I brought your spirit here so I could talk to you, considering you are in a coma presently, I told her peacefully. Oh, well, at least we can talk here. So how are you, my sweetie, she asked. Fine. Would you like some tea? I can go and get some from friend, I asked. Who's the friend? And how would I be drinking it? I'm a spirit, she asked. Someone who taught me how to defend myself. And you're overthinking it, Mom. It's kind of like we were in a mindscape, I replied. Then why not, she said. I'll be back in a moment. Then I said going to the spirit world to get Iroh. Iroh, you here? Would you like to meet my mom? And bring some tea, please. Oh, it has been a while, Izuku. And of course it would be an honor to meet your mother. I'll bring jasmine tea, he replied. Thanks, she is in the half dimension. Shall we go, I asked. Yes, he said, grabbing my shoulder, so I can take us there. Mom, this is Iroh. He taught me one of my ways of defense, I said once we arrived. Hello. It has been a pleasure watching young Izuku grow, Iroh said. Thanks. And what have you taught him, she asked. Izuku, do you mind, Iroh asked me. Not at all, I said, creating fire in the palm of my hand. Izuku, when did you get a quirk, Mom asked. Well, technically what he is doing is far older than quirks, Iroh replied as he held the kettle over my fire. Your son is what is known as the Avatar, master of the elements. It is a long story, Mom. I found the spirit Rava one day, and I happened to be found by her. Turns out I was the person she has been looking for a long time, I said. The water is boiling, Iroh. Ah, yes, thank you, Izuku, he said, pouring the water and adding the tea leaves. Jasmine tea, Mrs. Midoriya. Ah, thank you, Iroh. So my baby can follow his dreams now, right, she asked, sipping her tea. Well, that isn't my current goal, Mom. Right now I need to master the 4 base elements. I've already mastered fire and air, next is water. I'm just taking a break for now to relax. Maybe even help someone I met to master their flame bending, I said. Wow, that's hard to believe, but cool, Mom said. To ya, POV. As long as I've known my father, which is my entire life, he has been trying to create the perfect offspring, which initially he thought that was me. Then my youngest sibling Shoto was born with his quirk, half hot, half cold. The final straw was when Mother was sent to a psych ward because she hurt his perfect child, which she did because of the abuse he did to her. So I visited her and told her I planned to run away. Izuku's POV. It has been 2 days since I met Tuya Todoroki, and something seemed off in his emotions, like that was the last time he would see his mother again. It was currently nighttime, and I decided to go for a walk and some late-night training in a forest on the outskirts of town. The moon was a lovely crescent shape, guiding my way with its pale light. I think it would be best for me to practice air bending tonight, I said to myself softly upon my arrival to the edge of the forest. I promptly made an air scooter and made my way to my favorite spot in the forest, a clearing by a nice babbling brook coming from a cliff. Once there, I began practicing my air bending. Toya POV. Earlier in the night. I'm in my room packing light for my flight tonight. I finished and stashed it by the door with my coat. Dinner is ready. Don't forget to wash up, said. Right, I called. Fuyumi, my slightly younger sister, has been forced to grow up a lot since Mom left. I wish I could take her with me, but she wouldn't survive on the streets. I did as I was told and washed my hands and met them at the table. Natsuo was sitting there. Endeavor forbid us from visiting Mom, and I know he missed her deeply. But he wasn't brave enough to face the consequences for disobeying. He was too young, so I couldn't take him either. Tell you why, you went and visited her again, Endahor yelled. Yeah, I did. There is no reason we shouldn't see her, especially if we want her to get better, I said, forcing myself to be calm. Are you talking back to me, he replied. And if I am, I said, what are you going to do? Eat well, kid. After dinner, we are training for 2 hours, was all he said. Fine. After that, Fuyumi served dinner. We ate dinner in silence, and when we finished, it was time to train, which consisted of him torturing me to get me to use my quirk on him and go through my limits. Finally, I snapped and hit him with a large amount of fire, while creating a barrier between me and him. I then ran for the dojo door, flung it open, and grabbed my bag. Running as fast as I could, I ran into the nearby forest, and my quirk began to act up, letting out jets of flame now, and then causing many of the trees to catch fire. Eventually, I ran into a clearing where I ran, quite literally, into Izuku, who was doing some stretches. Izuku's POV. Ow! Oh, hey, Tio, I said. What are you doing here? What am I doing here? What are you doing here? In a forest at night, he replied to me. I was just about to train. Now what about you, I said. I'm running away. I've had enough of my abusive father getting away with anything just because he is the number 2 hero, he told me, with clear malice in his voice. Oh, that explains why you fire is blue. Well, no matter, right. Now I need you to calm down and bring your quirk under control if you don't mind, I asked of him. Okay, he said as he began to take long, calming breaths. After a while, the fire in his hands disappear, but a new problem arises, as it were. Did you by any chance shoot any fire out into the forest to you? I asked. Yeah. Why, he replied. Okay, then, this is an issue. Well, I guess I have no choice I will take care of the fire before it spreads, I said, and got into a stance and began focusing on the heat I felt around me. There was a lot of it. Okay, I think I can do this. Spirit world. Oh no, this is bad. There is no way he can do that alone, Roku said. Well, then it might be time for him to finally achieve it, don't you think, Iroh said. You might be right, Iroh. She does like to take control when we are in danger, Aang said. Mortal world. I took control of the fire and felt something down in my spirit, a familiar presence. One I haven't felt for 3 years. Izuku, let me take hold. You are skilled, but not enough to take on this blaze, at least. Not yet, Rava said. Rava, what do you mean, I asked. The avatars state. They told you it is you using the knowledge and skills of the past avatars. That is only partially true. I take the driver's seat and use all the knowledge gathered from your past lives to deal with what you face, at least until you master the form, Rava said. Then go ahead, take control, I said. Tuya, POV. Okay, I think I can do this, Izuku said. All I could think was how you're quirkless. Then I saw him close his eyes and take a deep breath in and out. That's when he suddenly felt different, a vague light coming off him. Then he raised his hand, and the heat went towards it, and the fire died out. He turned, and his eyes opened, glowing a vibrant blue, and he directed the heat into the nearby stream. He took another deep breath in and closed his eyes. When he opened them again, they were back to normal. What was it? I thought you were quirkless, his response was. I said I was quirkless, not powerless. Izuku's POV. What was that? I thought you said you were quirkless too, you said. I said I was quirkless, not powerless, I replied. I believe you said you were running away. Why don't you stay with me? Plus you'll be safe, and I can explain what our power is. Sure, why not? But what do you mean our power, he asked. Once we get there, I will explain, and I would like you to keep it a secret, at least till I reveal my power to the world, I told him. Now come on, it's time for dinner. With that, we began to walk to my family's apartment. To explain how I am still living there, my mom owns the building, and we have a hired landlord. We just live in the building. In actuality, we have several businesses around the city, but we both prefer to live simple lives, hence the apartment. After walking for about 30 minuets, we made it home. Welcome, are you hungry, Tuya? That's when his stomach growled. Yeah, before I ran away, I had dinner, but we did training right after, and I must have worked off the meal, he replied. Okay, I will start dinner. How's Katsudon sound, I asked. Sounds good. Let me know if you need help, he said. Oh, that won't be necessary, Tuya. My mom taught me to cook, and she has been in the hospital for a few months now, so I'm used to it, I told him. After that, I went into the kitchen and began cooking. It was around 8 p.m. when I finished. Tuya, dinner is ready. Oh, thank God, he said. You washed up right, I asked. Yes, I did, he replied as he sat down. He took his first bite. Wow, you're a great cook, Izuku, especially for 8 years old. Why, thank you, Tuya. Now, to explain our powers, I said. Long ago, the spirits lived with us, and we humans were scared of them, as they could posses us and disfigure our bodies. We humans lived on these great beings, known as the lion turtles, of which there were 4. One for each of the main 4 elements. I took a break to eat some of my katsudon. Those 4 main elements are fire, air, water, and earth. We humans on occasion had to leave our lion turtles, so for protection in what we called the spirit wilds, the lion turtles granted us with the element they embody another break for more katsudon and some tea. The spirits were eventually forced to return to the spirit world in order to maintain some peace between the humans and spirits, and the spirit world was sealed by the first avatar, the only person who could bend all 4 elements. I finished eating and drank some more tea. So you mean to tell me that what me and you have are not quirks, but this ancient ability, Tuya asked. Yes, that is precisely what I am saying, I replied. The drawback you experience is because you're not supposed to bend fire directly off of your skin, sips tea. Tomorrow I will train you to use your bending more efficiently than Endeavor ever could. Oh, and your parents are quirkless as well. How my mom has an ice quirk, and you will teach me, he replied. Well, yes, I'll teach you at least till you go to UA, I said. Also, your mom is a very talented waterbender. I don't want to go to UA, he replied. I want to get revenge on Endeavor. And what better way than to knock him off his pedestal in the hero char, I replied. What I will teach you will make you potentially more powerful than All Might. Okay, I'll do it, but please don't push me like my father, he replied. I wouldn't dream of teaching anyone that way. What he did was challenge you to a match. That's not training, I said. Anyway, for tonight, practice breathing with you diaphragm. Okay, so long, deep breaths, got it, thank God. It is summer, Tuya replied. Yep, and you graduated middle school. I have around 5 months to teach you enough for UA. Tomorrow we begin, I said. Izuku's POV. Spirit World, the night I took Tuya as my student. Iroh, I have my first student, but I only have 5 months to prepare him for the UA entrance exam, I said, taking a sip of tea. That is wonderful, teach him well. I presume that he is the young man you saved the other day, he said, sipping tea. Well, regardless, his hatred burns bright, so his flames will be blue. I suggest that you train him to use and understand that hatred, so it does not overtake him, he said. No, not like the Force. Understood, and I will teach him to the best of my abilities, I replied, and finished my tea, readying myself to leave. Well, see you later, Iroh. Until we meet again, Iroh said. Mortal World, Izuku's room. Now to get to bed so my mind could be prepared for the intense training of tomorrow. With that, I went to bed and woke up at 6 to get Tuya up. Tuya, time to get up and don't forget to stretch. Okay, I won't. But why so early, he said. It is best to start the day with some mild body training, I replied. Body training? What do you mean? Tuya asked. Legs, core, arms, then we rest and eat breakfast, I told him. Okay, well, what did you have in mind? He asked. Well, today is Monday. On Mondays, I typically do 100 push-ups, sit-ups, and pull-ups followed by a 10-kilometers run, I told him. Tell me you're joking. He said. Of course I am. Today, we will focus on strengthening the core for morning exercise. 1 plank 30 seconds, 0 seconds rest, followed by 2 bug reps, 10 seconds, 0 seconds rest, finishing with 3 boat reps, 30 seconds, 1 minute rest, all of that in 5 rounds total. Makes sense, Tuya, I told him. You know a lot on this subject, was his reply. 4 or 5 years of my life, I didn't have this ability, so I relied on my body being fast enough to escape my bullies, I told him. Oh, sorry for asking, he said. Don't be, I go to school online now, so I can focus on training, which personally helps a lot with self-defense, as some martial arts are what remains of the old arts of bending, I told him. What martial arts derives from fire bending, then, Tuya asked me. The Northern Shaolin styles comes from fire bending, I told him. Do you have any experience in that system? I'm afraid that no, I don't, he told me. By the time I leave for my journey, you will hopefully be on par with me in the element of fire, I tell him. Now let's train with that. We proceeded outside and began training the 5 rounds of core exercise. I gave him a meal to help build up his muscles and told him we continue training at 1 in the afternoon. From there, I proceeded to do all of my homework for the rest of our training sessions, with an hour left before we continue training. Tuya, do you want to continue now? I got done early, I call out. Okay, yeah, what are we doing next, he asked. Let's do some fire bending, but we will go to the beach for that. It tends to be safer, I tell him, already grabbing water bottles and snacks. With that gathered, we left to the beach, which has become an illegal dumping site for garbage. So what are we doing first, Tuya asks, looking at all the garbage. Well, I want you to try to create fire in your hands with it, not touching your skin, I tell him. Okay, how do you do it? Izuku, he asked me. Well, for me, I was trained from the beginning to create fire away from my body, and in general, I am well attuned with fire, as it is where I fell in the cycle. Try picturing a small fire in front of you, and then cradle in your hands. Always remember fire is alive at breaths, and consumes, in this case, feed the fire your emotions, and let them melt away. I told him. With that, he didn't speak for a while, until I saw a small blue fire in his cupped hands, not touching or burning his skin. Well done, Tuya. Keep focusing, and feed your fire more, or it will go out, I finished. I did it. I actually did it. I really did. What should I do next, Izu, he said, excited, causing his fire to grow, but he maintained control. You can let it go, Tuya, and we will begin with the basics of fire bending, the same scroll I started out with and have mastered so many years ago. Tuya, this is the basics. From now on, you will be learning from this scroll and subsequent ones about the art of fire bending. Eventually, we will have a sparring match. Once I see you are ready, I will move you into a more advanced technique like this, I say as I begin channeling lightning and unleash it into the air. Wait, that was fire bending, he asked. Not quite. That is what happens when fire bending meets water bending techniques, I tell him. So I can do that, he asks. Yes, with enough training, you will be able to do it as well as heat bending. Before you ask, that's what I did in the forest, I tell him. With that, I proceed to walk him through all of the steps. He paid attention well. His training continued for 1.5 more months, where I thought he might be ready for the next step. Finally, I decided it was time for the spare. Izuku's POV. Tuya, time to get up. Eat up. Today we see how far you've come, I said from the kitchen. He sleeps on the couch. We have only 2 bedrooms, and one is locked up till Mom gets home. I made Japanese-style omelets, miso soup, pickled bamboo shoots, and rice for our breakfast today. I'm up. What are we doing today? Tuya asked, sitting up on the couch. Today, Tuya, we see if you are ready to advance to the next level of fire bending and your training overall. So again, eat up. You'll need the energy, I told him, and with that we sat and ate in silence. Ready to go, Tuya? I asked him once we both had finished. Yeah, I'm ready as I'll ever be. It's just I feel so full, he replied. Well then, let's go, and the walk will help with that, I told him as we set out for the beach. Okay, here's a rundown of what we will be doing. First, we spar with our fighting ability alone. Then, after the outcome of that match, we have a short break and move on to sparring with fire bending, I tell him. Why not just go straight to the bending? He asked me. The reason why is you never know when you won't be able to bend, I tell him. Fire benders draw power from the sun. So say there's a solar eclipse, for example, we can't fire bend. Beyond that, long ago, there was a technique used to block bending called chi blocking, and I don't know if there's anyone alive today that knows how to do it. Apart from myself, I say that last part quietly. With that, we made it to the beach. Okay, in order to win the match, you must knock me out or pin me. With that, we spaced out about 5 feet apart and took our stances. Tuya was the one to instigate the match by rushing at me and preforming a scissor kick, which I blocked with my arms and forced him backwards. He then launched at me with a roundhouse kick, to which I countered with one of my own. Come on, Tuya, try harder than that, which led to him launching and punching me in the chest, which I was forced to guard against, and it flung me backwards. Nice hit, I said, and did the come-at-me thing with my hands. He came running at me with a right hook, to which I countered by grabbing his forearm, twisting around, and shoved him into the ground, pining him. Ow, ow, ow. You're strong for an 8-year-old, Tuya said from the ground. Right you when you got me pinned. Thank you, Tuya. Okay, your hand-to-hand combat could use some work. Time for a break. Then we test you bending, I said, tossing him the bottle of water and a protein bar. So I've been meaning to ask you this for a while now. Why is your mom in the hospital? Izuka, Tuya asked after downing half his water bottle. Well, my mom is in the hospital in a coma after she had a seizure caused by an inoperable brain tumor, I told him, holding back a tear. Oh, well, if that's the case, what do you do when you visit her? He asked, scarfing down his protein bar. I talk to her spirit projection, I said. Something I'll teach you to help with studying in high school. Okay, then. Well, we should start the second sparring match, he said. Yeah, we should, I said, clearing my mind. We once again took our stances, only this time we stood about 15 feet apart. Tuya started the match again, launching a couple of blue fireballs at me. After all thin equals S time, he hasn't let go of that hatred. I countered them with a wall of fire. I took a deep breath, preparing an attack. As I breathed out, a ring of fire appeared around me. With each sequential breath, the fire grew and grew, until I collected all of it into a ball in front of me and launched it at Tuya. It was blocked by him, making an X with his hand and dispersing the fire by breaking the X. He then counterattacked with several strong blasts of fire I was forced to dodge. I got pinned between 2 bursts of flame that grew into a walls of bright blue fire. Got ya. You can't go anywhere, Tuya said. I win. That's what you think, Tuya, I said calmly. Remember the story I told you? The one about how these powers came about, yet Tuya replied. Yes, that's the one. And in that story, it told of one person capable of mastering all 4 elements. The Avatar, I said. What of it? He said with a look of worry. Tuya, Tuya, Tuya. I'm the Avatar, I said mockingly. You can't be. I've only seen you use fire bending, Tuya shouted, nervous. I've only mastered 2 elements, so far fire and air, I replied. I then created a ball of air and rode it towards finishing the counterattack by pinning him to the ground, my foot on his neck and my hand ready to fire. Well, you passed, Tuya. I only wanted you to push me, need to use another form of bending, I told him calmly, helping him up. Then my phone rang. Tuya's POV. Izuka said I passed, but he won the sparring match. Then his phone rang. Hello. Yes, this is he said to the person on the other end. His face had fallen from the joy of his victory to one of utter distraught. I'll be over shortly, he said. Izuku's POV. I was crestfallen. That was the hospital. My mom's awake, but her health is declining. I told Tuya who has become like a brother to me in this short period we have known each other. I was on the verge of tears. Well, I'll understand if you want to go alone, he said. No, please come with me, you're like a brother to me. I finally admitted it to him. Okay, I'll come and be there to support you if you need it, he said, a tear visible on his cheek. With that, we went to the hospital, and I rushed to my mom's room as soon as possible. Mom, I'm here. I'm here, I say, beginning to cry. Ah, Izuku, you made it. I'm glad to see you before I die. Remember, my sweetie, I will always be with you, so long as you hold me in your heart. And for me, live the dream you have always wanted to live, Inko said as she held her son for the last time. The lights leaving her eyes and her body resting lovingly, holding Izuku, who was crying his eyes out for the first time since he was announced quirkless. Tuya walked up and grabbed him. Come here, buddy. It's going to be okay. It's going to be okay. What would she have wanted for a funeral, Izuku, he asked. Our family has a tradition of cremation, and she would have wanted that I tell Tuya as I'm crying, beginning to fall asleep. In the spirit world, we see Iroh, Roku, Aang, and Jinora looking at Izuku with great sadness. We are so sorry, Izuku, they all said together. We will have to be here for him when he needs it, Iroh said. Izuku's POV. We got a tree to plant to immortalize my mom and are heading to the clearing, my mom's favorite place. We walk through the barely budding trees slowly, me carrying the urn with my mother's ashes and Tuya carrying the tree, a young wisteria, mom's favorite. We came to the clearing, the babbling brook, sounding so peaceful. We began digging a hole for the young sapling, and I added a bit of the ashes from mom's urn, and we placed the wisteria sapling and gave a prayer to the heavens. I love you, Mom, and I hope to meet you in your next life, I said, tearing up. Tuya came over and gave me a hug. I may have never met her, but anyone who could bring a bundle of joy into this world like you deserves to be remembered for eternity, he said. Everything will be okay. Aizu, I know it will. With that, we went home and peacefully ate lunch. Each of us stayed quiet for the remainder of the day. The next day, okay, Tuya, for your remaining training, I think it would be best to get advice from a friend, I told him as I was coming down the stairs. Okay, where do we have to go? He asked. The spirit world. I need you to meet quite possibly the greatest firebender to have ever lived, I said. How are we going to go there? He asked. Well, first we meditate, and then I do the hard part, one said. What's the hard part? He asked. Bringing someone who doesn't believe there, I said. That's not fair. I've tried 1,000 times to go there myself during all of our meditation breaks, he said. I know that, but you're being forceful, and to get there, you need to be one with the spirits. Okay, I said. Fine, he said. Okay, meditation position, I said. So we took our positions and began meditating. Breath in and out, in, out. Relax, and the hard part, grab around here, and there we go. Welcome to the spirit world, Tuya. The spirit world. What? Whoa, this is weird, he said. Come on, we need to get to his place, I said. With that, we began to follow the smell of brewing tea. Hey, Iroh, I managed to bring Tuya here. Well, I need your help in showing him how to use the advanced techniques of firebending and lightning bending, if you don't mind. Yeah, I can help you with that. Just give me a moment. I have quite a few guests, Iroh said as he began pouring tea for around 20 spirits that decided to stay here. Oh, and I'm sorry to hear about your mother, Izuku. It's okay, I'll be fine, I told him, accepting a cup of tea. If this is the spirit world, wouldn't she be here? Tuya asked. Unfortunately, that is not the case. I am a unique case, as is the consciousness of the past lives of the Avatar. Most humans simply reincarnate upon death, Tuya. Iroh explained while I was sipping my tea. Oh, okay, Tuya said. Well, Iroh, do you know where the others are? I'd like them to meet Tuya, I said. Oh, well, they should be on their way. For tea time, he responded. Okay, well, you ready to go there? I asked. Right, let's get started, he said. Go where I thought we were training here? Tuya asked. No, Tuya bending doesn't work in the spirit world. So the best thing to do is to go to the world between ours and the spirit world. I discovered it by accident, I told him. See, we can bend there, but it doesn't affect the real world. Okay, he said. Alrighty then. Iroh, Tuya, kindly place a hand on either shoulder and we can get out of here, I said. They both took one side, Iroh on my right and Tuya on the left. And away we go. The world between worlds. Okay, Tuya, did you have any tea before we left, I asked. No, why? Tuya asked. The technique we are teaching you is best preformed, while at peace of mind, Iroh explained for me. Yeah, that. Iroh, mind explaining, and I will demonstrate? I asked. No problem, was his reply. I got into my stance, one hand parallel to the ground and the other with two fingers ready at around forehead height. I took a deep breath. There's energy all around us. The energy is both yin and yang, positive and negative energy. Iroh explained. Only a select few firebenders can separate these energies. This creates an imbalance I dragged down with the fingers and pulled back up, lightning surrounding my fingers. The energy wants to restore balance, and in a moment, the positive and negative energy come crashing back together. I turn and pull through with my other hand, lightning now surrounding that hand as well. You provide release and guidance, creating lightning. As he finished saying that, I drew the lightning to one side and released it in front of me. Just like that, I said, I could do a lot more than that, but for right now, this and redirecting it are what you should work on. Wait, lightning redirection? Tuya asked. Yeah, Iroh invented the technique. I told him simply. Yes, I invented the technique after studying Master Waterbenders, Iroh said. Whoa, that's cool, Tuya said. Yeah, Iroh is full of vast amounts of wisdom and great stories, I said. Anyway, that technique, you will just have to put faith in your training, because I am not shooting lightning at you. Okay, how do I do that then? Tuya asked. If you let the energy in your own body flow, the lightning will follow it. You must create a pathway from your fingertips up your arm to the shoulder and down into the stomach, Iroh said. While Iroh was explaining that, I used Tuya as a model and show the pathway. The stomach is the source of energy in your body. It is called the Sea of Qi. From your stomach, you direct it up and out your other arm. The stomach detour is critical. You must not let the lightning pass through your heart, or the damage could be deadly, I finished. I heard that so much while he was teaching me, I finally just memorized it. Okay, that makes sense, I guess. I mean, that's basically how a defibrillator works, Tuya replied. Oh, you're right, I said. Well, let's get you practicing the redirection technique, which will allow you to redirect heat as well, Iroh said. Oh yeah, I forgot about that, I said. Okay, follow what I did earlier, and try to feel the path of your chi going in, down, up, and out. Yeah, I think so, he says after several practice exercise of bringing his fingers together and following down to his stomach and up and out the other arm. Time skip 7 months. Okay, show me what you learned in these past 3 months, I said. Starting with the dancing dragon, right? He took a deep breath to calm himself and steady his movements. Then he starts with the first position with his right leg up and his arms in a sort of U shape. Second position, right leg extended far and him leaning his body towards the right. Third, firmly planting his right leg too and letting his left drag with a firm arm out. Fourth, low to the ground T-pose. Fifth, firm right leg and the left extended and facing the left leg's position. Sixth, firm right in a punching form. Seventh, firm left leg and offering hands. Eighth, defensive stance. Ninth, down low defensive stand. 10th, leaning over arms out in a C shape, following Aang from the outside of the statues. Good, now lightning bending, I said. Okay, again, deep breath, and does the steps to lightning bending. You're as ready as I can make you for the entrance exam to UA. I need to go on a journey for a while. If you feel like staying in my home while you go to UA, feel free. I will provide a monthly allowance for expenditures and a periodical update to my training and my location if it doesn't get on the news somehow, I told Tia. I will be back around the time for the UA entrance exam that I would be allowed to attend. I finished while giving him a hug. I then used air bending to bring a bag he didn't see me bring and put a cloak on. Then gathered air around my feet to form a rideable cloud, a modification of the air scooter, and took off heading towards Australia. See you when I see you, Izuku. I barely heard Tuya yell behind me. Tuya, POV. Izuku laughed. He told me to keep training and to become a good hero. Then he explained that all avatars are meant to see the world that they are to keep in balance, and said he would be going south. That was yesterday. Today, I've got to keep my head clear. It's the UA entrance exam. Time skip to the practical exam. Go. There's no countdown in a real fight present, Mike yelled, but I was already in melting and dismantling robots left and right. Racking up points, by 3 minutes left, I believe I had around 75 villain points, and for whatever is worth, I have rescued 10 people who were incapable of destroying some of the robots. That was when the ground began to shake and a massive robot that I assumed was the zero-pointer. Holy Christ! I shouted, that thing is massive. Might be a good time to really show myself. Everyone ran by me. I stood there waiting for them all to be out of the way. I took a deep breath and I leapt and used fire under my feet and my hands as stabilizers to go up above the robot. I think I ended up at around 7 a.m. I then let myself fall and let out the biggest jet of fire I could muster. The zero-pointer's head liquefied, as did a large chunk of its chest, and I set a nearby building on fire grate. I landed on the building I set on fire with a controlled descent and felt for all of the heat now spreading through the building, gathering all the fire above me and snuffed it out with a single flick of the wrist. Time I hear present mic call at a distance. With that, I went back to the apartment, which I now call home, and made katsudon for dinner. I ate, and then received a message from Izuku. Hey Tia, I am currently in Vietnam. I found a very unique set of ruins here. Take a look. I then received several photos. Wait, are those statues pre-forming the dancing dragon? I messaged back. Yeah, according to Iroh, these temples belong to the civilization of firebenders. No, as the Sun Warriors from millennia ago. Cool, huh? He messaged back. Yeah. Oh, by the way, at the entrance exam, they said we're the last class to be accepted. So, young, they're going to become a college soon because of how dangerous the entrance exam can be, I told him. Fine by me, gives me more time to train, he replied. Talk to you later. Okay, bye. Time skip 1 year. Izuku would be nearing the age of 10. I was watching the news when breaking news: a tidal wave is on its way to Australia. Reports speculate that the wave will end up being around 50 meters tall, is on a course for Sydney, Australia. The reporter said, we now cut to a Sydney news helicopter. The camera cut to a beachfront in Sydney where crowds were being evacuated from by heroes. The camera zoomed into a little kid looking out at the surf, a little kid with black messy hair. Izuku, I said. Then the kid began to preform Tai Chi and several large whirlpools began forming in front of the tidal wave's path. The tidal wave hit and was canceled out by the whirlpools. After the wave was safely canceled out, he did his little cloud maneuver and left. Oh, thank God. Izuku, you have been practicing your water bending, I see, I texted him. Oh, I've been practicing a lot of water bending techniques. Even some Katara is not fond of, he replied. Like what? I asked worriedly. Healing and blood bending was his reply. Whoa, whoa, whoa. You mean you can manipulate people's vital fluid? That sounds unnerving, I messaged him. Yeah, I'm hoping to find a way to use it to heal, but as a worst-case scenario, I could use it to catch villains, I suppose, he replied. Yeah, that makes sense, I said. So, where are you going now? Next is to head to the coast of the U.S., where I will master waterbending and begin earthbending, he told me. Talk later. Cool, ya, talk later, I replied. Time skip another year. Izuku is now around 11 years old. It has been yet another year, and school has been fun once again. I was chilling out in Izuku's place and doing homework for my second year, while idly paying attention to the breaking news. We're getting reports from the U.S. According to leading researchers in Mount St. Helens National Park, recent geological activity suggests an eruption might occur. Oh, that sounds interesting, I said to myself. We go live to an interview with the researcher studying at Mount St. Helens, the reporter said. Yes, we have reason to believe an explosion will occur any time now. So nearby towns have been notified, as have many places within what we call the Ring of Fire, as well, the researcher said. As of right now, we are unsure if this eruption could trigger a chain reaction across the Ring of Fire, but always safe to plan for the worst, the researcher continued. So we might have an issue. It looks like the cap might be expanding. I have called the nearby towns to trigger the evacuation plan, another researcher told the first. Oh, right, I'm afraid. We will have to continue this, and the helicopter follow me, please. With that, they all went to a rather large helicopter and began flying to a safe enough viewing distance. You said evacuation protocol was triggered, right? We hear from behind camera. Yes, there should be no one within the initial eruption, the lead researcher said. There appears to be a kid atop the mountain, the cameraman said, zooming in as close as he could. What? The lead researcher says, garbing binoculars. Oh no. No, we don't have time to get him. What? But we have to do something. He looks like he is 11, the cameraman said. Wait, what is he doing? He zooms in again, and we see the young boy has black hair and appears to be making the rock move mentally. Is that kid a hero, trying to help or something? We then see lava begin to spew from the place he has made, and he is controlling the flow, or at least that is what it looks like. Like this, but more controlled. What the hell, Izuku, you never mention anything like this, as being something we can do, I shouted to myself. As I was watching, I saw as he forced the lava to spread out, and then at least what it looked like to me was Izuku removing the heat from the lava, as it rapidly cooled into lava rock. After that was finished, it was confirmed that the Ring of Fire is still secure, and Izuku left without anyone knowing. That was fun. Izuku messaged me. Can a firebender do that? I asked him. I don't believe so. It is already rare among earthbenders to be able to do it. He replied, well, that is a shame. I messaged. It is what it is, he said. Talk to you later. Okay, bye, I said. Another year down, Izuku is now 12 years old. I am currently a pro hero named Dabi. His hero costume is the same as his villain costume. He just doesn't have the scar issue thanks to Izuku. Also, his hair is naturally black. Currently, it is my day off. I am in Izuku's apartment when, hey Tia, I found a new student. She's around my age. I asked her dad if I could teach her and explain what I can do. From what I could tell, she didn't have an ancestral link to any bending art, but it gave me practice for the last bending art I would need. Izuku messaged me. Wait, you can give people bending? I asked. Yes, as well as take it away. I think she will do best as a waterbender, Izuku said. Huh. Well, okay, then neat, I told him. Where are you right now? A place called Island. The girl I met is named Melissa Shield. I came here initially to practice with a lot of different metals, so I made an appointment to meet David Shield, and one thing lead to another, he replied. She will be coming to stay with us, since she wants to go to UA with me. Okay, when are you coming back? I asked him. We will be coming back in a year, so I can give her some basic training, he replied. All right, can't wait to see you again, I told him. Izuku's POV. I traveled to the south of Japan on my modified air scooter technique and stopped by a place in Vietnam for a short time for a break. There I had a lunch break and ate what I packed for myself, a couple of onigiri, specifically sour plum, and kombu. It was delicious. I also walked around a bit and took photos to send it to you. Then I set up camp and took a nap in a safe place. In the morning, I felt fully refreshed, which makes sense because I flew for about 2 days. I took off for Australia to continue my training in where the Southern Water Tribe likely settled for a greater connection for waterbending. When I finally made it to Australia, it was a little past midday and I touched down just outside of Sydney. I had studied English for quite a while, so I could communicate effectively around the world on my travels and went into the city to find something to eat. I eventually settled on fish and chips, but first I had to go and exchange some money, which was simple enough. I brought a decent amount of money with me, around 3 billion yen, which ended up being around 36,381,870 Australian dollars, which I, of course, kept in my family's overseas banking account, which is what we use for family trips, something we rarely did. With that done, I enjoyed a delicious meal of fish and chips. I began looking for a place to camp out and eventually settled for a cliff overlooking a lovely beach that had lovely coral reefs just past the shallows and untouched by man. By the time I found this place, it was starting to get late, so I set up camp and prepared for a day of training tomorrow. Time skipped to morning. Today is the first day of my waterbending training, so I began to meditate sitting down and creating a circle with my hands by laying my fingers together and touching my thumbs to each other. I focused on Avatar Aang to help me locate Korra. According to him, it could be a hassle. Hello again, young Izuku. This time I brought my lovely wife with me. She agreed to help in teaching you some techniques that Avatar Korra might be incapable of teaching you. Aang said upon seeing me, "It is a pleasure to meet you, Katara. I look forward to training under you as well as Korra," I said, bowing in respect to Aang's wife. "I see that my husband has talked about me," she said. "I'm sure it will be a pleasure to teach you as well." This is what Katara looks like. Art belongs to Fairlook. With introductions out of the way, we began to search for Korra. Aang said she's probably up in the mountains near Iroha's tea shop. So we began our hike and eventually came upon a house, to which I knocked. "Hello, is Avatar Korra here?" "Yeah, and who's asking?" she said upon opening the door. "Well, I'm the current Avatar, and due to circumstances in the human world today, I have been required to seek training from my past lives, as well as some old friends," I said. "Yeah, and you clearly have the person who taught me and her husband everything about waterbending. So what do you need me for? Korra asked. Well, Korra, to my understanding, Izuku here likes to learn techniques from multiple people to better understand the element Katara explained for me. Okay, not like we can actually show him bending is impossible here, Korra argued. Oh, we won't be training in the spirit world, I said. Say what now? Korra asked. As my husband explained it, Izuku seems to have found a place between the spirit world and the world of mortals which allows for us to train him without affecting the mortal world. Katara explained. Did I get that right, Izuku? Yes, that is exactly what it is, I said. If you agree to train me, I can take you there, Korra. Fine, I'll train you, kid, she said. I may not be happy about it, but sure. Lovely. Now, kindly both of you place your hands on my shoulders, I said. They both do, and I bring us to the world between to begin training. Welcome to the worlds between. Oh, the mortal world looks so lovely nowadays, Katara said. Where are we, Izuku? We're in a country called Australia, which I believe the Southern Water Tribe ended up settling over time. I explained to both of them. It is a much warmer climate than what they were used to and arguably more dangerous. Why would they settle here then? Korra asked. They mastered the environment here and survived the worst the planet had to offer, I said. Now we should get a training. Right, the basics are simple yet complex in their own right, as they vary on the level of accessible water. Katara started. In the polar environments of the old polar water, tribe's water was everywhere a simple flick of the wrist, and you had water, Korra continued. But in a landlocked place, a waterbender must be resourceful and find water hidden in their environment to finish together. All throughout this speech, they were preforming various movements, most of which seemed to be from Tai Chi. Some affected the water behind them in the ocean, where others pulled water from nearby plants or from thin air. Once we are done with you, you will be one of the most resourceful minds in the world. After all that, they brought out a scroll, which I remember Aang mentioning in one of his stories, the very same scroll. It was at that moment I remembered what Iroh told me about the elements. Water is the element of change. It was all making sense now. So that's what Iroh meant, I said. Iroh said water is the element of change. And right he is, I knew a waterbender who would bend the water in plants to disguise himself as a spirit to protect the swamp he lived in, Katara said. Now the first thing you should focus on is push and pull the absolute basics of water bending passed down by the moon and ocean spirits, Korra said. With that, my training began. I got the hang of it relatively quickly, able to create the small waves with the push and pull technique. We eventually moved on to the basics of the scroll, which was the water whip, which Katara was amazed at how fast I picked it up. Wow, Izuku, I think you picked that up faster than Aang did, she said. Well, in this day, and age bending is not as prevalent as it was back then. Quirks are what has taken their place. On top of that, I was taught from the beginning the principles of all the old benders. I think that is why I pick up the elements so fast. I said moving on to moving the water however I wanted for practice. I mastered fire within 2 years and air in 1 year. I took some time off from the other elements to train my first student. My mom died on the day I tested if he was ready to go on his own, which he was, and with her death, I decided it was time to go and see the world and its people before going to hero school myself. That is sad. Are you sure you're okay? Katara asked. Yeah, I'll be fine. I can always visit where we buried her and the tree I planted for her, I replied. Let's continue. Right, they both said. Time skip 1 year. It has been 1 year of training to be as resourceful as possible. I was currently asleep in my campsite, and I was awoken by the sound of a loud alarm coming from town. An alarm I realized was a tsunami warning. I looked at the panicked faces as they palmed my camp and the faces of the sad children, so I decided to help. I went down to the beach and waited for the wave. Once I saw the water swelling, I started creating as many whirlpools as I could with a swirl like Tai Chi pattern. The wave hit the whirlpools and was canceled out. Once again, this feat was preformed without the avatar state. With Roku, he shows so much promise. I wonder what will actually make him enter the avatar state, Roku said. You are right, and I agree. What could possibly make him enter the avatar state, Aang said. Back to Izuku. Once that was taken care of, I returned to my campsite and began to pack up and leave. The day before was my last day of waterbending training, and I think you can tell why. So next I plan to go to the US, but before that I decided to go to Europe, which was a long journey with a couple pit stops, the first of which would be India. Izuku's POV. I was flying over to my first pit stop in India, specifically just north of New Delhi. I landed in a small forest on the side of a relatively small mountain. I was looking for a safe place and found it near a small excluded lake that looked like it had never been touched by man. I looked around for a nice flat area to set up the tent, which I found just far enough from the lake. With it, I began to set up the camp. There was enough tree cover to not need the tent. I began to set up a safe place for the fire by making a ring of rocks. Once I was done setting up the rock ring, I began looking around for some firewood and wandered further than I thought. I came upon a cave that I decided to wander into after going and making a trail back to camp. Once in the cave, I ignited my palm and followed the vegetation creeping across the walls as I went. The rocky floor became more of a soft dirt, which itself gave way to soft grass. As I went, the walls changed to a more beige color with blue bands up near the top. Eventually, I came to what seemed to be an ancient door. It was made of wood, and there was what appeared to be two wooden bugle-like things connected to tubes that wandered up and snaked through 3 swirl symbols. After a while, I began to recognize the swirl pattern as the symbol for airbending. After having found the door, I went back to the campsite, deciding to open the door tomorrow. When I got back, I heard a ruffling noise from a nearby bush, and out came a baby goat gorilla, only unlike the one that Aang knew its fur was a dark red color. It seemed distressed, so I gave it some distance, but I tossed it some meat for my meal, remembering a comment Aang once said about how they are known to eat lop-eared rabbits. It grabbed the meat and ate it with insane haste. It then decided to lay down and began to rest, not sleep. It had its eyes on me. With it watching me, I began to prepare my meal, a simple dish of rice and chicken, nothing special. I ate, and since there was some leftover chicken, I offered that to the young animal, which it ate again with enthusiasm. After that, I got in my sleeping bag and began to go to sleep. Once the goat gorilla was done eating, it came over and snuggled up to me, and together we went to sleep. I woke up to the young goat gorilla nudging me and sniffling me. When I opened up my eyes, the young guy was so happy. "Yeah, I'm awake, little guy. So what are you doing all by yourself?" I asked him. He looked at me and it had an aura of sadness and walked off to where he had come from. I followed. We went a decent way to right next to a cliff and a dead goat gorilla that had been picked by scavengers. "Oh, I'm so sorry, little one. If you want, you can come with me," I said, giving the little guy a little ear rub. I had a friend 2 of my incarnations ago who had a goat gorilla. So how we name you after him, Boomy?" Once I said that, Boomy jumped up and kissed me, like a dog would so licks, as if he was happy for the name. After that, Kiss attacked me and him, went back to the campsite, and followed the trail to the door. Once we got to the cave, I created a small fire in my palm, and we went in. At the door, I put out the flame and began to unlock the door by doing this. Specifically, the door opening part. Once inside, I saw statues upon statues, and on instinct, I knew that they were all of my past lives up until Aang at least. With the having been finished, Boomy and I went back to camp and began to pack up and leave me having to strengthen the effort I used to make the air current for both of us. As a result, my air bending strengthened considerably from that. Izuku's POV. After 3 months of grueling travel across the cold waters of the Atlantic, over the great mountains of the United States East Coast, and over the expansive plains of the mid-United States, we finally made it to our destination. The wilds of the northwestern part of the United States, in a secluded section of the forest not too far from a town. The town's name was Tootle, and I go into town for supplies about once a week. After the camp was initially set up, I began to meditate and hone in on the spirit of Avatar Kyoshi, as well as someone I thought might be of help in training. Izuku. Roku has told me that you should be stopping by any time now, and here you are, I hear a calm and well-matured feminine voice say. "So are you ready to begin your training to master earthbending?" "Yes, I am, but where is Toph?" I asked, tilting my head slightly. "I am right behind you, Twinkle Toes," she shouted at me in a childish voice. Never thought I would be training another avatar in my afterlife, I guess. "Toph," I screamed, running up and hugging her. "It has been a very long time, my friend." "Indeed, it has. What took you so long?" she asked. "I had to master the other elements. First, you know the rules," I told her. "Fair enough, Twinkle Toes. Let's get started then," she said, pulling out a rough-looking scroll. "You will begin by assuming the basic stance," Kyoshi said with a tone of finality. Okay, but first let me take you to the realm between this one and mine, I said, after saying that I had both of them place their hands on my shoulder and brought us to the half realm. Try using your bending, it should work. Oh, this feels amazing, Toph said. It has been so long since I've been able to bend. You're telling me? I've been dead far longer than you, Kyoshi said with the faintest trace of a smile. Now, Izuku, assume your basic stance, she said, returning to all business. I assumed the basic stance, and we began. Kyoshi started out by creating a boulder and then raising a platform above me and Toph. Toph created a gradual slide in front of me. Ah, this brings back memories. This is exactly how Aang's training started. Toph said to me, everything's ready down here, Kyoshi. Got it, she replied, and then proceeded to drop the round boulder onto the ramp. You need to be immovable like the rock, Toph said as the boulder neared me. I braced myself, putting one foot forward and holding my hands out towards the rock. The moment the rock made contact, it broke apart, shrouding me in dust. Well, he defiantly did something right. Not quite what we were going for, though, Kyoshi said. Well done, Izuku, you jumped for a step, Toph proclaimed happily. Thank you. Toph, what next? I said, shaking out the dust from my hair. Well, let's work on moving Earth now, Toph said, setting up a rocky plane for us. Kyoshi, mind setting up the rest while I walk him through this? Fine, Kyoshi replied, and walked off to set other exercises up. Okay, Izuku, just follow my lead. Do what I do for this one, Toph said. She rubbed her hands together and began pounding them into the rock, creating sand from the impact. I did as instructed and copied her with decent success. After doing that for a few hours and practicing reforming the sand in a solid rock, she walked us over to a field and formed two walls, then created a suit of armor out of rock. The goal was she was going to push towards me, and my goal was to push her back. I held my ground and stopped the advance and began pushing her back a bit, but I lost my focus and she ended up plowing right through me. Okay, that's enough for today. Yeah, probably a good call, I said. See you tomorrow, give Kyoshi my best. After that, I sent them back to the spirit world and went back to the real world. Then I began to make food for me and Bumi, both of us cuddling up and going to sleep. That's how it went for a while. Kyoshi seemed to be just assisting in the bare minimum, like she and Toph had an agreement. Toph would train me, and Kyoshi would just be there. It went like that for a good 5 months then. Okay, Toph, I've waited. It's time he was thrown in the deep end, she said. Just a little bit longer, Kyoshi. He is not ready, was Toph's reply. We had a deal. You would give him the basics till he improved. You trained him like Aang, but maybe he is more like me, needs first-hand experience. Kyoshi said, and what is this deep end you speak of? I asked Kyoshi. You and I will spar till you understand how to earthbend, she explained. Specifically, you and I are only allowed to use earthbending. We both stood opposite each other, and Toph was to act as the judge. Toph jumped off of a large boulder nearby and onto the ground, kicking up a large amount of earth and sending a boulder into what appeared to be improvised stands. So that's why no one was sitting here. Iroh said I hadn't even noticed, but the stands had filled up with my previous teachers and a lot of friendly spirits. Welcome to Earth Rumble 7. I am your host, Toph. Beifong, Toph yelled after raising a platform and sinking it to make it lie flush. She then raised up a section of earth, as well as the stands to match the earth's height. The rules are simple, just knock your opponent off of the ring to win, and in this case, both opponents are only allowed to use earthbending. Do you both agree to these terms? I agree, Kyoshi said as she walked up a prepared staircase. As do I said to Toph. With that, our sparring match began. Kyoshi took out her fans and began bending a large boulder towards me. I raised my arms in a defensive stance and felt a slight tug, and in front of me a pillar of earth shot out, knocked the boulder away. I was surprised. Before now, all I had managed was small rocks and solidifying rock. Be like a rock, unmoving, I muttered to myself. I told you, Toph. He needed a push, Kyoshi yelled to Toph with a small smile. Then she began to jump up and down, rocking the stage with each jump. It was causing me to lose my balance and fall back, but I bent a small platform of rock out to grab onto. Pulling myself back up with my core muscles, I launched the slab at Kyoshi, hitting her in the face. That got her mad. Sorry, I said feebly. She picked up two boulders and threw the first one at me on instinct. I crossed my arms again, only this time the boulder broke apart and wrapped around me like armor. She threw the second one, and I pushed forward and punched through the rock. shattering it and sending chunks into the stands. Rushing forward was a mistake. She grabbed a hold of the rocky armor I was using and used it to throw me out of the ring. Ring out. Kyoshi wins. Toph called and the crowd cheered. Izuku, you have made some great progress today. Hopefully we can keep up this momentum. From then on, I had training with Toph for 6 days out of the week, and on the 7th day, we would hold a spectacle of a sparring match between me and Kyoshi. Things went like that for 4 long months with some minor improvements and some nudging towards something from Toph, until something finally clicked. Welcome to Earth Rumble 19. I am your host, Toph Beifong. Toph said, doing her entrance for our sparring matches. Ready to be beat again, Izuku? Kyoshi asked me. Oh, you never know, something could change this time around, I told her as we began. She began by launching a boulder at me. As usual, I proceeded to break it apart and sent the resulting rocks right back at her, resulting in her dodging. She then sent up multiple strikes of earth from the platform, and when I broke it apart, a large amount of dust entered my eyes, effectively blinding me. Normally, this would be no problem if I was allowed to use air bending to pick up on slight atmosphere pressure. That is when I felt a slight pulse, almost leaving my bare foot, something that Toph had insisted on while we practiced. The pulse went through the ground and bounced through Kyoshi, letting me know her position. I kept sending out that pulse and felt her prepare an attack. In an instant, I kicked my foot into the ground, sending a mass of earth to here, which forced her into a split. After another pulse locating her position, with a slight flick of my arm, I sent multiple pillars of rock to her back, surprising her and launching her off the platform. Cheers erupted from the stands, and Toph launched at me and hugged me. Finally, you finally did it. Took you way too long. You finally picked up on the seismic sense, she said. That's what that weird pulse was, the seismic sense you used to see and taught to Aang. I can use it now. I asked her. Yes, and anything else I can teach you is metal bending. Wish should be easier knowing seismic sense, she told me. For the remaining 3 months, I continued learning and refining my earth bending and digging deeper and deeper, eventually reaching lava bending at around the halfway point. Toph said that though it was rare among earth benders, the Avatar has been able to do it many times. The next day, someone new joined us to help train me. His name was Bolin. After training with Bolin for the remaining, I felt something coming from the mountain nearby. Immediately, I went back to the human world and rushed to the mountain on an air scooter, riding all the way to the top. I could feel a large amount of seismic activity and lava moving to burst from the mountain. I dug deep and pulled the lava to a point in front of myself and began forcing it out of the earth. I let the lava split and spread out in a wide berth, and then I forced it to cool rapidly, but still slow enough to make earth and not obsidian. Then I returned to my campsite. Izuku's POV. So it has been a little while since we had come back from my training journey around the world. Yeah, I said we, me, and my new friend Melissa Shield. We met on Island when I went to see her father about practicing metal bending on rare metals. I gave her the ability to water bend after getting permission from her father and began teaching her immediately. After we both turned 13, I had permission to bring her with me and Bumi, my gorilla goat, to Japan so we could train there and prepare for the UA entrance exam for 5 years. Once we got back, I had to move because my family's old apartment would not be a suitable environment for Bumi. I still own the apartment complex, but we just freed up our old apartment and moved to the countryside on a large estate that was for sale. That gave Bumi plenty of room to roam around and gave me, Melissa, and Tuya plenty of room to practice on. Okay, this is a sparring match, I said. No cheap shots. Melissa, I'm looking at you. Hey, that's mean, she said from her ready stance. Yeah, but I don't normally hit you below the belt. Tuya snapped back. Get back on track, I called to them. Ready, begin. Tuya opened up and sent out a column of flame to Melissa, who defended with a wall of water. The wall consumed the flames, and she froze the water into icicles, sending them at Tuya. He responded by creating a flame whip and began to knock them out of the air, melting them significantly on contact. Once out of danger, he launched a few volleys of fireballs at Melissa, who countered, snuffing out each one by surrounding them with water. The fight went on, and on Melissa would send a volley, Tuya would counter, and then send one back. Okay, you two, I think that should be good. We do need to get going, I said as the alarm on my phone went off. Fine. Then I guess we will call it a draw for today. Tuya said, sweating profusely and dripping with some water as well. Yeah, we'll continue this tomorrow. Melissa said, running over to me, so we could head out. Small time skip to UA Assembly Hall. Good morning, everybody. President Mike shouted into the audience. Can I get a yeah? Okay then. He said, let's move on. Today, you all will be participating in mock urban battles. You all will be scored by the robot villains you successfully subdue. There are 3 main ones you will encounter. First, the 1-pointer, aptly worth 1 point. Then there are the 2 and 3-pointers. Excuse me, sir? A kid with blue hair and square glasses raised his hand. Yes, candidate. President Mike responded. On the handout provided by UA itself, it clearly states that there are 4 villain types, yet you have only covered 3 kinds. The boy said, if this is a mistake on UA's part, that is egregious for a school as prestigious as this one. And you, he said, pointing at me and Melissa, you two have been talking through nearly the entire presentation. It has been quite distracting, so please stop. Well, Ida Tenya, I believe, I was talking with my friend to help her with how best to utilize her quirk against the metal robots, I said, standing up. So we were technically talking about the exam. Furthermore, we did so in a quiet manner, and none of those around us were really bothered. As for your question, to present Mike, if you had actually read the handout, you would know the remaining robot is worth 0 points, ergo, it is an obstacle. Well said, little listener. Mike said, indeed, the remaining robot is worth 0 points and is just an obstacle. Now, if you all would look at your exam card, please get on the bus outside, headed to the corresponding letter. What bending should Izuku use as his quirk for no to keep up appearances? I will only be listing the basic elements, but sub-elements connected to it will also be utilized by him. Fire, air, water, earth. This chapter will be updated when I decide to write the next one. When it is updated, the poll will be closed, so you have until then to place your votes. Also, props for whoever looked up the URL before getting to this point. Izuku POV. I waited outside my assigned city, calmly meditating, albeit standing up and feeling the vibrations around me. I felt every footfall of the examinees, every breath, and every heartbeat, tuning it out and feeling waiting for the moment to strike. Click, there was my opportunity to get ahead, the door opening. Using skills picked up from air bending, I dashed as fast as I could into the fake city. As I entered, I barely heard the blue hair guy say I was cheating. Were all of you waiting for there are no countdowns in a real battle follow that kid's lead? President Mike shouted out from seemingly nowhere. I was still paying attention to the vibrations in the earth, and then I felt the vibrations of several robots. I ran into the group, barely seeing their point values of 3 2-pointers, 1 3-pointer, and 4 1-pointers. The other examinees were only now entering the city. Swiftly, I blasted the speeding 1-pointers with jets of near-wit hot fire. Then I jumped with assistance of air bending to dodge an underground attack from a 2-pointer launching at it a plume of fire. That left 2 2-pointers and the 3-pointer. The 2-pointers decided to attack me with the flamethrowers evidently built into their tails. While I was falling, I had a few options: dodge, using air bending, overpower their attack with one of my own, or to show off a bit and redirect the attack back at them. As the flames drew near, I spun myself in the air, taking control of the flames, and spun back, launching the fireball at the 2-pointers, incinerating them immediately. I landed back on the ground and felt a tremendous vibration as the 3-pointer slapped its arms down and fired off a missile at me. What the hell is wrong with this school? I swiftly dodged, using air bending, and spun myself around the projectile and launching forth a massive fire blast. I watched as the poor machine melted into nothing more than a puddle of various liquid metals. Then I sped off to gather more points. That's how when I sped around the fake city, and when I ran into a grouping of faux villains, I would dispose of them. I only stopped after amassing a total of 60 points, enough to pass the exam. After that point, I went to the top of a building and looked down, watching the other examinees. Melissa POV. Izuku told me back in the auditorium to just run in as soon as the door opens, which I did. As soon as I got to the first robots, I popped open my water skin and began water bending it into razor-thin blades. I used them to cut at the joints of the robots, and finishing them off with cutting off the head. With that, I continued to run around and slice and dice the robots, gathering points as fast as I could. When I finally hit 60 points, I heard an explosion, or what sounded like one, and then rubble began to fall from one of the buildings. The ruble almost crushed someone. I rushed in and used my water to slice through the rubble. "You okay?" I asked the student who was now on the ground in shock. They nodded, and I continued on knowing someone else could get hurt, or already was. I saved a few other students before deciding to just take out the 0-pointer, which had been causing this. I ran towards the robot, and as I did, I reached below the city, feeling the system of water lines and willing the water to emerge. Which the water did. I made a giant slash one way, sending a sharp diagonal slash, cutting the robot in two and disabling it. Izuku POV. As I was sitting there watching the other examinees, I felt a large vibration coming from the other end of the city. It felt almost like a massive tank was moving towards our location. I decided it was probably best if I made my way back to the ground. So I ran as fast as I could down the floors of the building, and once back on the road, the vibrations were much stronger. Then I heard a very loud, crumbling sound like cement breaking apart. I looked around to see a massive robot with its hand on a building, causing rubble to fall down and staring menacingly at us all. "That's the 0-pointer. I heard an examinee say behind me. "Where does UA get the money for that?" Another shouted. All this did was trigger a panic of examinees running in the opposite direction of the robot. While they did that, all I could think, these guys want to be heroes. Then I heard it and felt it, a call for help from a girl pinned by rubble. I reached my arm out and grabbed the shoulder of the guy who interrupted Present Mike. "You will do," I said, dragging him behind. "I will do for what?" He yelled at me, aghast that I was dragging him into danger. "I need another pair of arms and legs to help the pinned lady over there." I told him after coming to a stop. "What, someone is pinned?" He asked me. I simply nodded. "All right, let's go." With that, we ran off to the pinned brunette. Once we got there, we saw she was knocked out. "I'll lift the rubble, you pull her out, and run her and you out of the robot's path." "Okay, I'm ready," he said. With that, I grabbed the rock and secretly used earth bending to lift it up with ease. The blue head pulled her out and took off as instructed. "All right, big boy, it's just me and you now," I said, pulling back a ways, and then using air bending to jump up to the height of the robot, disguising it with jets of flame from my feet. I began to create as much fire as I could around myself, and then pulling it in front of me into a tight ball of condensed white-hot flame. As our number 2 hero Endeavor would say, "This is your prominence burn." I yelled, unleashing a massive jet of white flame from the ball till none of it was left. The attack melted the head and parts of the torso off of the 0-pointer. Then I began to fall. Oh no, forgot to focus on the air. Bending got to think fast, or I'm a pancake. Slap. Suddenly, I felt pain in my cheek, and I was now floating an inch above the ground. "Release," the brunette said, touching her fingertips together, and then leaning in front of the blue-haired guy, throwing up a rainbow. I passed out shortly after that. I used a lot of my energy to preform that attack, after all, let alone keeping up the white-hot flame to hid my bending as my quirk. Izuku POV. 2 weeks later, we both received our acceptance letters. We both already knew we got in. This was basically confirmation on what class we were in. We both managed to get into class 1, and Melissa was 4th place out of the entrance exam, and I was just ahead of Bakugu, putting me in 1st place. The day after, we sent in our measurement for the school uniforms, normal wear, summer wear, and our sports outfit, as well as our preferred specs for our hero uniforms. Melissa decided to go with a uniform based on traditional Water Tribe cloths with improved fabrics for better durability. Her outfit looks like what Katara wore in warmer weather. She also has to water skin like bandoliers around her back in case she needs water. She's still learning how to pull water from her surroundings. For my hero outfit, I went for a traditional Fire Nation design, not that I will be using fire bending anytime soon. My outfit has some custom metal bracers around my wrists and custom metal shoes I can slide open for better use of seismic sense. In the metal bracers, I have a miniaturized versions of the wire movement gear used by the police of Republic City. We both got dressed in out school uniforms and took a ride to school from Tuya. He dropped us off at the gate, and we walked into the building and up to our classroom. We arrived early on purpose and to my surprise, there were 4 others already in the room. A tall, mature-looking female with black hair pulled back in a ponytail with onyx eyes. A male with hair split near perfectly down the middle red and white. His eyes were one black and one electric blue. Then there was the kid who aided me in rescuing the brunette from the zero-pointer. Lastly, Katsuki was also present, and he was currently locked in an argument with the kid who helped me. "Will you take your feet off of the desk?" The kid who helped me shouted at Katsuki, hand-chopping. "It is disrespectful to those who came before you and those who made that desk. Will you shut up already?" Katsuki shouted back at him. "How stuck up can you be? How rude. I'm Tenya Ida from Semi-Private Academy," Tenya said, offering his hand to shake. "Oh, Semi. You're not just stuck up, you're an elite," Katsuki said. "Leave me alone already." He took his feet off the desk just to get Tenya away from him. As we were sitting down, Tenya set his sights on me. "You're the kid that figured out the true meaning behind the entrance exam," he said as he approached me. "I did no such thing, Tenya," I said. "I merely did what any hero would in the situation, and on top of that you helped me do it." "Well, you're right about that, I suppose," he said. "Time skip. It's been about 30 minutes, and the classroom's desks are all full up now." I sat in quiet meditation for the majority of the wait. Melissa decided to socialize for the majority of it. "Everyone sit down and be quiet, our teacher is almost here," I said, opening my eyes. "What?" a girl with pink skin and hair said. "How could you possibly know that?" "He isn't wrong," an older gruff voice said. "If you're here to make friends, then you're in the wrong place. We have 3 years to make you lot heroes, so time can't be wasted. Now go down to the locker rooms and change into your provided sportswear and meet me on the field." "Sir," the brunette me and Tenya had saved interrupted. "What about orientation? UA prides itself on its freedom." He responded now at the door. "That freedom extends to us teachers as well, so we are allowed to conduct our classes as we see fit. And I say orientation is a waste of time. Now meet me at the field." With that, he left, and we all began making our way to locker rooms to change. It was uneventful apart from an annoying pervert grapehead, which I threatened with third-degree burns should he use the peephole he found in the girls' locker room. "You all need to work on your punctuality," our teacher said. "I am Shota Aizawa. You may call me Aizawa-sensei. Now what we are about to do is a quirk apprehension test. You all know those tests you did all throughout middle school. Well, now you get to use your quirks." Third POV. Izuku used his mastery of firebending to help succeed in all the tests. His overall score put him in first place. Melissa, on the other hand, got closer to 6th place. She wasn't as adept at pulling water from straight air as Izuku was, so she could only use what she could of her own sweat and some of others to aid in her tests. So, this was the end of this series. Stay tuned for next part of this series, and if you like this video, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to